What is a favicon? A favicon, which is short for favorite icon, is a browser icon or a small square image that displays next to the page's title in the browser tabs and in other places across the web, like when you bookmark a website. Adding a custom favicon makes your site recognizable in a browser full of tabs or bookmarks. The reason favicons can be helpful is for branding. Website owners typically use their logo as their website's favicon, since the favicon is a small logo that is presented at the top of the browser screen. It helps with branding and awareness. Favicons can also help the user in regards to finding which tab they want to use. If you're the type of person that has a lot of tabs open, favicons can help you to identify websites quickly. Favicons can offer credibility. Adding a favicon to your website is a basic and easy task, although many websites skip this step. It doesn't necessarily affect the site's performance per se, but it does add a little bit of polish to your website. And finally, favicons can help your website with search engine ranking. When a browser visits your website, some searchers' browsers request a favicon from your site. If the site doesn't have one, the site's going to return a 404 response code, and an abundance of 404 errors can affect search results negatively. Favicon images work best across all browsers when they're sized between 100 pixels and 300 pixels, although they do display at 16 by 16 pixels. This is a standard favicon dimension. Some browsers support larger favicon files these days, but all will support the smallest size. In regards to the file format, we generally use an ICO or a PNG file as the favicon image. And like other things in HTML, if you want to cover all of your bases, you should probably offer some sort of fallback content. Let me show you how we can incorporate favicons into a website. Here I have several tabs open, and you can see that the tabs I have open all have favicons. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to identify what this particular brand is. Here's the default favicon icon, and this is the page that we're going to be working on. The page is super basic. All I have is an H1 so that we can see something on the page, and then what we're going to do is we're going to change this icon so that it displays a custom favicon. In order for us to do that, we're going to have to create our favicon icons. So let's talk about how we can do that. In regards to making a favicon icon, you can use any application that you like. Currently, I'm in Illustrator. I like to make my favicons using vector elements. It's important that you keep your artwork super simple, and I'll show you what happens if we use these icons and how we can improve our favicon slightly by simplifying it down and ensuring that it works. The first thing that I've done here is I've made an artboard that is in an actual square. The size of my artboard is currently 32 by 32 pixels. What I recommend that you do if you want to create favicons is that you actually create artwork that is 310 by 310. I'll explain why we want to use these sizes shortly, but for my purposes here, I have artwork that is 32 by 32. This artwork, this bat ray element, is not on an artboard. If your favicon does not exist within a square environment, then the favicon is going to squish the artwork in some unproportional manner. So depending on the application that you're using, make sure that your artboard or the size of the document is a perfect square. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to export my artwork using the asset export feature. Now, before I go ahead and do this, what I like to do is I like to make sure that my artwork is an exact square. So in Illustrator, I simply draw a shape that is the same size of my artwork, and then I just turn both the fill and the stroke to nothing. Now when I select my artwork, that frame becomes part of the artwork. So when I go ahead and export it, it will export out as a perfect square. I've already done the same thing over here with my bat ray. So you can see I have a square that has no stroke and no fill that surrounds the artwork. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here to add this to my asset export. I'll give this a name of bat ray, and I'm going to just call this one Ocean 1. And what I'm going to do in regards to the export settings is I'm going to export out as a PNG. Because I want to convert these into a plethora of different formats, I'm going to change the scale size to 310 pixels, and this will go ahead and upsize my artwork to this particular size. Because I'm in Illustrator and my artwork is vector, this will not be a problem. If you are using bitmap-based artwork, then you want to make sure that you start with a file that is large. It's also worth mentioning that simple types of artwork is going to work best for favicons. If you add a lot of detail and complexity, you're going to lose all of that detail. You won't actually be able to see any of it because the icons are going to be displayed very small in many cases. Now that I have these settings, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select both of these and I'll export out. I've exported the artwork out into the icons folder. Illustrator automatically made a 310 width folder, and here are the two icons that I've exported out. If we look at the details about these, you can see that the size of these elements is 310, and this is true for both of these elements. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this artwork and turn it into the artwork I'll need in order to add favicons. Some applications let you export your artwork out as an ICO file, or you can create favicons using PNGs. But as I mentioned before, if you want the widest array of support, it is worth making multiple sizes and making multiple files. In order to make this process easier, it is helpful to use a browser-based application to do this. The website that I'm using is called Faviconit. This allows you to generate all sorts of favicon sizes and file formats, so this makes the job really easy. All you have to do is upload your image that is 310 by 310. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate for one of my images. We'll select the Batray to start off with and we'll click open. Then it uploads the file and then I click Faviconit. Once it's done, it's going to generate all of the different file formats that I need. I'll download the generated icons. And here's the folder that it made for me. And as you can see, I get a ton of different sized icons. So we have all sorts of different icons available for us to use in our project. I'll show you how we can add these shortly, but first I'm just going to go ahead and create favicons for my other icon quickly. Here's my next folder with all of the favicon icons. We'll be using this in just a few minutes so that I can show you the difference between these two icons. I'm going to go into the first folder and grab all of the images that are part of the Batray set. I'll copy these and then I'm going to place them into an images folder inside of my website folder. Now that we have the images part of our website folder, let's look at how we can incorporate this favicon into our web page. As you can see, all of these file formats are PNG except for the one favicon ICO. This was the original favicon format. Prior to modern browsers, if you wanted to create a favicon, the ICO file format was the only type that would actually work. Now, however, it is possible to create favicons using the ICO in addition to PNG, GIF, and even JPEG. In order to incorporate the favicon, we're going to be using the link element. We are familiar with the link element from linking external style sheets. This follows the same format, but we use a couple of different attributes and values. It's important that you always put the link element in the head section of your page. Generally, I place the favicon link prior to any other link elements that I might have, but the order doesn't really matter. The attributes that we need to include are the rel attribute. This tells the browser the purpose of the linked resource. We'll go ahead and we'll specify the value to be icon. It is possible to have this value also be shortcut space icon, but generally icon seems to be sufficient. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the type attribute. The type attribute specifies the MIME type for the linked resource. All browsers are going to understand that image /x-icon is going to be correct if we're referring to the ICO formatted favicon. If we're using a favicon that is PNG, GIF, or JPEG, then this MIME type is going to be written slightly differently, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Finally, we're going to use the href attribute, which is going to allow us to indicate where the file is located. Now, I placed all of my images in the images folder, and the image that we're going to pull up initially is going to be the favicon.ico file. So I'll go ahead and use that name. When we generated our ICO images, they were all named with the favicon as the starting portion. The name of these elements can really be anything that you want, since the link element is going to specify what file we want to use as a favicon. But traditionally, the files were always called favicon.ico. I'll go ahead and I'll close my link element. We'll save this, and if we come back to the browser and refresh on the page, you will now see that the default icon has changed to be my favicon icon. If we wanted to display one of our PNG elements, all we have to do is change the link tag a little bit. So I'm just going to copy this link element, I'm going to paste it in, and in order to specify the PNG, I would use the rel and set that to icon. The type is going to change, and it's going to be image/ICO. And then we're going to have to specify the file name that we want to use. So I'm going to use my 32 sized PNG. If we save now and we refresh, you're going to see that the same sort of image is going to display. It now is defaulting to the PNG since this link element comes after the one that's linking to the ICO. With the advent of all sorts of different devices, we actually have the ability to use higher resolution favicon icons, which is why we have so many different versions. If you want to take advantage and use all of these different versions, I suggest you reference the text file that was included when we went ahead and used favicon to create all of these different elements. If you open up this file, you will see that it provides you with a different type of code. So some of this code is similar to what we just used. Here is the default link that is linking out to the ICO image file format, and then here's what it looks like when we link out to these other files. You can see that we have an extra attribute called sizes, which is going to specify the size that we want to use this at. If you want to use all of these, you can simply copy this code, and I'll just replace my typed code with this code. Now, in order for me to take advantage of these different elements, I'm going to have to make sure that the path to the image is updated. My images are in the images folder, so let me just go ahead and quickly update the path to all of these different favicon elements. Now that I've updated the path to all of these different elements, if we save and we refresh in the browser, you're going to notice that visually we don't see any change. In this particular desktop browser that I'm using, it's only going to take advantage of the 32 by 32 PNG file or the ICO file. So all of these other sizes are not being used in this environment. If I was using a device that had high density resolution or some other sort of formatting, we could use these. If this is something that you're interested in using, certainly include these. It also might be a little bit of overkill, so for most purposes, I find that it's easier simply just to reduce this down and either use the ICO link or the link that links out to the PNG. If you're not worried about the different sizes, you don't really need the size attribute, but if it's there, it's not going to hurt anything. Finally, what I want to show you is what happens if we use our other elements. So I'm simply going to replace my current favicon with this other favicon element that I created. I will grab the favicon 32 and the favicon ICO. I'm going to simply copy these into my images folder. If I refresh on the page now, you'll see that the icon is going to change. The reason that I'm pointing this out is you can see that the icon is very hard to understand. Even though the icon appears to be relatively simple when we looked at it in Illustrator, it has a little bit too much complexity when it's reduced down. You might have noticed that when we looked at the Batray image, we don't see the black outline and then the purple fill. It just looks like it's one color. So when we're using images that are so small, you really don't need any sort of extra information. If I wanted to utilize this image, I would be better off getting rid of these extra details and simply scaling up the fish icon and using this as my favicon. When we create favicons, simplicity is generally better. So let's go ahead and let's just call this Ocean 2. I'll export this. I've gone ahead and I've produced the artwork that we need. I'm simply going to copy these two images. I'll put them into my website folder. And now if I refresh, you're going to see that the favicon element looks a little bit better. It displays slightly larger since we now have more room, and the simplicity just makes it easier. So when you're thinking about images to use for favicons, simplicity is going to be your best bet. Take the logo or the element and then simplify it down to its purest essence. It is possible to use more than one color, but you probably don't want to use more than 1 to 3 colors at most, and line art and simple type drawings seem to work best. The favicon is a small thing, but it definitely can enhance your website, especially if a user bookmarks your website or is just identifying your brand via the tabs.